Hi there, Nahye. My name is Ellen, and I will be correcting this essay for you today. I'm happy to see that you've submitted an essay for correction. So let's take a look and see what you've done here, shall we? The topic is about ex-prisoners who talk to young people about crime. So let's see what you said here. Some people argue that it is a good idea that honorable citizens who were previous criminals teach adolescents about how dangerous it is to commit crimes. I completely agree with this point of view due to their firsthand experiences and being an example themselves. Okay, I like this. I thought you did a nice job with this. I might have changed honorable citizens. They're rehabilitated, okay? But I don't know if you want to call them honorable citizens necessarily. That might be a stretch, in other words, okay? So, you could have said something like, some people argue that it is a good idea for rehabilitated criminals to teach adolescents about how dangerous it is to commit crimes. And that's fine, due to their first experience and being an example themselves. Okay, so let's see what you actually said. First of all, criminals can deliver the way the sentence is structured, there's a problem with it. You can either say can convey their own experiences to teenagers, or criminals can relate their own experiences to teenagers. But this combination of the word deliver with the sentence structure is just a little off. So we fixed that. Okay, which helps them to understand the results of committing crimes in depth. While the social injustice subjects only instill the theoretical consequences of delinquencies into them, criminals' life experiences are more likely to appeal to students to have interests in dangers of crime. This is a little confusing. I don't know what that means. To appeal to students to have interest. In other words, we want them to have an interest in committing a crime or a danger of the danger of crime. That's a little strange. We don't necessarily want them to have interest in these subjects, but rather to understand them and the complexity and the seriousness of it so that they can avoid this type of activity in the future. A personal example of this is when I was a high school student. A criminal's life story speech truly got me thinking about the danger of committing crime. This clearly shows the implications of criminals on adolescents simply by telling their own stories. All right, I like that last sentence. That's very nice. On top of that, they can be living examples for students, therefore act as a deterrent to committing juvenile delinquencies. I don't love on top of that. It feels a little informal. It feels more like something we would say in spoken English and not so much in a written essay. So I would avoid that. Also, don't forget, since you started off with first of all, it's in your best interest to use second of all. Um, there are some expressions that we use in essays like first, like second, that you can't use one without the other. Another example of this is on the one hand, on the other hand. You have to use them together, otherwise you shouldn't use them at all. Okay, so let's keep going. So second of all, they can be living examples for students, therefore act as a deterrent to committing juvenile delinquencies. This is simply because if criminals share the type or duration of sentences that they were that were imposed is probably better here. That were imposed. Students are more likely to realize the significance of crime. A growing body of research suggests that the number of juvenile delinquencies has drastically decreased after introducing a class where students can meet former criminals and listen to their experiences. This explicitly demonstrates that offenders can become a good example, which stops, okay, the S here, young people from making the same mistakes. That's good. In conclusion, I would argue that previous criminals play positive roles in educating youngsters about the danger of committing crimes, as they can share their own experience and become a good example for students. Okay, I thought you did a nice job here. But No, I'm not going to start with a but. I'm going to tell you that I thought you did a nice job. I thought that you used a very good structure. So in terms of coherence and cohesion, or at least in terms of coherence, I thought you did a nice job. In terms of cohesion, in general, I thought you did a nice job as far as the structure of the essay is concerned. Okay, it was well done. I thought you also did a pretty good job um, of of topic development. You were on topic. You answered the question. Um, there is one detail that I would comment on. Look at this here in the prompt. It says they are the best people to talk to youngsters. So it's not just if they're good or not to talk to youngsters about crime, but if they are in fact the best people. And this is a really interesting way of phrasing this question because what it does is it implies a kind of comparison. Okay, so you're supposed to understand here, yes, they are the best. Okay, so the question then is compared to whom? Who are we comparing them to? And the same thing applies if they're not the best. Okay, well, if they're not the best, who is better? Okay, so there is this sort of implication here. And to my mind, a really high scoring essay understands this subtlety and really gets us across in the essay. So while I thought you wrote a nice essay, like I said, a high scoring essay, like a really high scoring, those top band scores, would probably address some element of this being the best people. Okay, so that's one thing. Another thing is there were a couple of sentences that were really lovely in terms of language. Um, but I do feel like you overused certain vocabulary. Like you kept using the word criminals. I did want to see some other word here, like ex-convicts, like former prison inmates. There are a lot of different words that you can use rather than just criminal over and over again. I also felt like you used juvenile delinquency a few times. Um, let's see what else. But yeah, definitely criminals is a word that really, really I felt was used a lot. I'm thinking if there was anything else. Like I said, um, you did use some good vocabulary like this. This clearly shows the implications of. I thought that was lovely. But when you need to get a high band score in lexical resource, this kind of lovely language, it needs to be consistent. Okay, so that's something that I would recommend. Like that's an example sentence, but it's the kind of thing you want to, do throughout. This was also nice, a growing body of research. That's lovely. So you did have some instances of this, but then, like I said, I felt like you kind of overused some words. What else? I think that's more or less what I want to talk to you about. This idea of the best people, and then some of the vocabulary that I wanted a little more variety so that you didn't overuse words. But like I said, this was a very good attempt. Now, the next question is, what are the next steps? If you found this feedback helpful, then I definitely recommend that you click on one of the links that you'll get in the email with this video telling you how you can work with us. There are a handful of different options. Your writing is good. You definitely understand the idea of structure. So you may just find it helpful to sign up for an essay correction package with us. Unless you would like some more support, really a very comprehensive package, in which case you can sign up to the online course, which is really, really just a wealth of information, helps in all aspects of the exam. So take a look at the different ways to work with us. I hope we get to work together in the future. I really look forward to it. So regardless of what you decide to do, I want to wish you lots of luck on your IELTS preparation.